Hi everybody, how are you doing? Okay, today we'll be looking into another type of experiment. As you all know, the first experiment that you have learned is on lab experiment, and today we'll be looking into the features of a field experiment and what happened to the IV and the DV, as well as the strengths and the weaknesses of using field experiment. And we will also be looking into the third and the final type of experiment, which is known as natural or quasi experiment. Okay, so let's look into field experiment. Okay, field experiment is related to the study which is conducted outside the lab. Okay, you can see, for example, it occurs in the participants' natural setting. Let's say I am the psychologist, so I am interested to identify about students' scores and in relation to revision, how much revision and its effect on the academic performance. So where shall I go as a psychologist or as an investigator? Okay, as an investigator, I will be going to schools, universities where I can find the target setting, which is the student. Okay, and this is normally not an artificial setting because it's natural. And here the researcher tries to manipulate or control the independent variable, but it's not directly. Okay, for example, to see the effects of promotion on the behavior of customers. So what the researcher can control or manipulate is the promotion, and what the researchers cannot control is the DV. The DV will be measured. The DV is how the customers or the participants will behave in buying items based on the promotion. Okay, and the other one is there will be an attempt to control other variables that can affect the dependent variable or the results or the findings in a study. So why is it very important to control the extraneous variables? Extraneous variables are confounding variables which can affect the results in a study. For example, the weather. Okay, I am interested as a psychologist to investigate about customers' behavior while in an open market. So open market is not sheltered. When it's hot, it's gonna be hot. When it's raining, it's gonna be affecting maybe the number of customers coming to the open air market. So these are the examples of extraneous variables which cannot be controlled by the researcher. Um, Okay, other examples is the setting that might affect the DV. Example, the time of the day other than the weather just now. It could be the time of the day. For example, in Pilyavin's study on helping behavior, it can be very hard for the psychologists, the observers, the experimenters to record the behavior of the participants as it can be quite hectic when there's a lot of passengers at the same time. That's why they conducted the study during during weekdays, working days, not during the weekends, because the weekends will be like Saturday, Sunday, where you can see a lot of people using the subway train, for example. All right, so let's move on to the strengths as well as the weaknesses of using a field experiment. Let's look into the first one, the strength. As a field experiment takes place in a realistic setting, it is said that they have high ecological validity. So what does it mean by high in ecological validity? Okay, ecological validity represents a real life situation. So when the study is conducted in a realistic setting, meaning to say the study is highly valid, high in ecological validity, so it can be trusted. Okay. And the second one is, as participants will not know they're in a study, so there will be little or no demand characteristics, and the behavior of participants will be likely to be natural. So they're not acting out, they do not change the behavior, they act as they usually act naturally. So this will also lead to high results in terms of the validity in the study. Okay, and the next one will be the weaknesses of using a field experiment. Situational can be difficult to control, so sometimes it is difficult to know whether it is IV affecting the DV. It could be an uncontrolled variable causing the DV to change. Okay, for example, okay, let's look into the promotion and the effect of promotion towards the behavior of customers as the participants. So when there's a lot of crowd going to shopping retails, shopping malls, it can be quite hard to understand the behavior of participants because we don't actually know what factors lead to participants going to the mall and making a large crowd. It can be something else other than promotion. It can be because it's the weekend. It can be because they're having Hari Raya, and then they just simply want to buy stuff for the family members as gift. So it can be very hard to understand just by looking into one factor. It can be many different factors. Okay, and the other one is, as participants will not know they're taking part in a study, so a lot of ethical issues will raise. For example, the issues can include no informed consent, and deception. As you all know, in order for the researchers to conduct a study, they have to follow ethical guidelines. And if let's say that they break these ethical guidelines, there'll be issues. For example, no permission given, that can be a problem, that can be an issue for psychologists, and they have to lie. And this is also a problem because who will want to be deceived? Okay.